Hello, friends. Between 1714 and 1830, the grand royal palaces of Britain buzzed with the unseen labor of thousands of servants, upholding the splendor of the Georgian court, while navigating a world of strict hierarchies, hidden passages, and endless duties. At Kensington Palace, the heart of King George II's realm in the 1720s, life below stairs was a relentless rhythm of efficiency and deference, where one wrong step could mean dismissal without a reference. Yet, amid the grime and glamour, these invisible workers glimpsed the raw edges of power. Here's what life was really like for a servant in a Georgian royal palace, a calm tale to ease you into rest. Hey, before we begin, if these stories help you unwind, give a like or subscribe. I'm curious where you're listening from. Drop your city and time in the comments. It's odd to think some of you might be starting your day in Sydney while I'm wrapping up here in the evening. All right, settle in. Fluff those pillows, dim the lights. This one's long and steady, perfect for drifting off. The bells jolt you awake, not a soft chime, but a sharp, echoing clang that pierces the pre-dawn chill of your attic room. It's always 5 a.m., no mercy for the weary. Your eyes flutter open to near darkness, the thin straw mattress beneath you offering little cushion against the hard wooden frame. Unlike the feather beds you might imagine upstairs, yours is basic, shared with 4 other housemaids in a cramped space, barely wide enough for dressing. The air hangs heavy with frost. Your breath clouds in the dim light seeping through a tiny, grimy window. You hear the others stirring. Anne, the senior maid with 3 years under her belt, mutters a greeting. Birthday jitters? Keep eyes down, mouth shut, ears open. You nod, fumbling with your linen shift. The coarse fabric, a far cry from the silks you'll soon handle. This isn't a cozy country manor. It's Kensington Palace in 1720, pulsing with the demands of King George II's court. Hundreds of servants like you orchestrate the daily ballet of royalty, from dawn fires to midnight clearings. And woe to the one who falters. Anne warns you about the king's Turkish favorites, Mehmet and Mustafa, former Ottoman captives turned high-ranking valets, dressed in exotic fusions of Eastern and European garb. They outrank us all but the steward. English courtiers resent them, but they're untouchable. Mehmet even tends the king's ailments. Before you can ask, the bell rings again. Insistent. That's Mistress Keene, the housekeeper. Move! You scramble down the narrow servant stairs, steep and twisting, designed to keep you out of sight. No gilded banisters here, just worn stone steps that bruise your elbows on sharp turns. The air warms as you descend, carrying scents of fresh bread and wood smoke from the kitchens, lit since 4 a.m. A footman barrels past with a silver tray, snarling, "Watch it!" without a glance. At the bottom stands Mistress Keene, formidable in her 50s, keys jangling at her waist like a badge of power. Beside her, Mr. Hamilton the butler, tall in his livery. "Late!" she snaps. You mumble an apology, eyes down, but she demands eye contact. "Look at me, girl!" "Better. You're a housemaid now, but with the Cherokee chiefs arriving soon, expect shifts. Go where told, no questions." Anne leads you to your first task, lighting 28 fires in the main rooms before the family stirs. And that's just our wing. The palace has over 100 rooms. You haul coal buckets, knees buckling under the weight, sweeping ashes silently through opulent chambers with tapestries and paintings you'd never dare touch. "Don't gawk!" Anne hisses as you eye a massive mural. Getting noticed means trouble. By the time you're done, soot blackens your hands, your back aches. But rest? No. Next, hauling scalding water for royal baths, 20 pounds per jug. Up those twisting stairs. A bell tolls, each has a unique tone wired to a board below. You'll learn all 56 eventually. Near collision with the Turks, Mehmet in a fur hat over Ottoman robes, Mustafa similarly attired. You press against the wall, heart pounding. They're the king's privy purse keepers, Anne whispers once they're gone. Control his spending, richer than us, that's for sure. The morning blurs into more chores, emptying chamber pots, making beds, laying clothes, all invisible to the waking court. Tarid, they mustn't know their luxury requires sweat, Anne says. Your stomach growls. Breakfast waits until after the families, around 10 if lucky. The servants' hall contrasts the hushed upper floors, crowded, noisy, but hierarchical. Upper staff at the head, steward, housekeeper, butler, cook, then valets, ladies' maids. You as housemaid midway, scullery maids at the bottom. Simple fare, porridge, bread, ale, no tea, that's for upstairs. Gossip swirls. The king's piles bothering him, Mehmet's task, a lady reporting a servant for eye contact, the wild boy Peter from Hanover Woods as court curiosity, and the upcoming Cherokee delegation with painted faces and eagle feathers. Mr. Hamilton stands. King receives at 11. Duties assigned. Be invisible. You follow Anne to clean the Queen's drawing room, grand with tapestries, but dust every inch. No touching paintings. A maid was whipped for a smudge last year. A bell rings. You rush to stoke the presence chamber fire, slipping in via hidden doors. As courtiers assemble, you freeze against the wall. The king enters, stocky, 60, limping from gout, wig powdered, followed by the Turks. Petitions flow in German, translated by Mehmet. You observe the power play. A smile elevates, a frown ruins. We see it all, Anne breathes. After, clear debris, gloves, snuff boxes. Anne educates. Real powers in mistresses and valets, they know secrets. No rest. Prepare guest chambers for Cherokees. Exhaustion sets in, but excitement too. This is court's beating heart. The bells wake you again, body protesting. Anne, big day, Cherokees arrive. Sore? First week's worst. You adapt, saving strength on empty stairs. Breakfast buzzes with speculation. Scalps? Face paint, Hamilton silences. Treat as dignitaries. You spot Catherine Elliot, wet nurse to Prince James, respected for feeding royal blood. Good position, set for life. Assigned to cupola room prep. Octagonal, domed marble columns. Polish under Mrs. Silka's eye. Small circles on marble. She's dresser to Queen Charlotte, though no queen, divorced for infidelity, sister and mistress instead. Anticipate needs, stay invisible. A bell, not service, clock. Cherokees noon, finish and vanish. Last minute, trays for presence chamber. Eyes down, silent, room fills. King announced, then Tomochichi, Miko of the Yamakra Creek. Dignified elder, face painted subtly. Buckskin and linen mix, with delegation and boy. Bows, gifts eagle feathers for peace. King accepts via Mehmet. Speeches translated, you serve cakes. Boy smiles, Human spark across cultures. Private dinner. English specialties like roast beef. You station in antechamber, overhear rapport despite barriers. Boy questions, people in walls, servants. King, our tradition. Footman drops spoon, dismissed. Brutal. Clearing till midnight. On stairs, Mehmet. Long day. You're new, stronger than you look. Cryptic. Anne warns. Dangerous. The thoughtful ones notice. Days blend. Fires. Water. Cleaning. Week-in, body adjusts. Sunday, drawing room prep. 6 court mantuas, wide-hooped gowns, embroidered. Repair with Mrs. Thrale. Waist shows status. Lady Howard inspects. Uneven shells, but praises your hands. Deliver to apartments. Chaos of dressing. 4 hours. Stays, hoops, trains. Then serve refreshments in drawing room. Left hand offer, right behind. Courtiers ignore you. King and queen arrive. Presentations, dancing. Messenger. French trouble. King leaves. Post-event. Summoned to queen. Mehmet suggested you for nursery. Stunned. Prestigious. Report tomorrow. Nursery. Separate wing. Mrs. Pace's rules. No touch without permission. Never alone. Taste food. Clean everything. No gossip. Meet Mrs. Elliot nursing Augusta. George with puppet. Hold princess. Likes you. Tea. Make yourself indispensable. Queen visits briefly. Mary. Loyal to them. Better than others. Private chamber. Luxury. Asleep to babies fussing. Gardens moonlit. You've risen fast. Bells again. Sharper now. Slicing through the fog of sleep. Your attic room feels less foreign, though the straw mattress still bites into your hips. The nursery summons you early, on 30 a.m. Before even the kitchen maids stir. You dress swiftly, linen shift and apron familiar now, and slip down the servant stairs, quieter than your first day. The air's thick with coal dust and the faint sweetness of yesterday's nursery milk warming. No Anne today. You're trusted alone. A housemaid turned nursery maid in just a week. The weight of it sits heavy, royal children, their fragile lives in your hands. One mistake and you're out, maybe worse. But there's pride too. You're climbing. The nursery wing is a world apart, tucked behind heavy oak doors. Its own small kingdom of soft linens and polished cradles. Mrs. Pace, the head nurse, greets you with a nod, her eyes sharp despite the hour. You're early. Good. Princess Augusta's teething, and Prince George wants his puppet show at dawn. She hands you a list. Warm milk, clean linens, check chamber pots, polish the silver rattle, and, most critically, taste the children's food before serving. Poison's rare, but not impossible, she says, matter of fact. You swallow hard, the thought of court intrigue no longer distant gossip. Your first task is the milk. You fetch it from the kitchen, dodging scullery maids scrubbing pots in steaming chaos. The cook, Mrs. Wren, hands you a small jug, still warm from the cow. Taste it now, she says, watching. You sip creamy, untainted. Back in the nursery, you pour it into a silver cup for Augusta, who fusses in her cradle. Mrs. Elliot, the wet nurse, is already there, humming softly as she rocks the princess. She likes you, she says, smiling. Keep steady hands. Royals notice loyalty. You nod, warmed by her approval, and begin folding linens, each crease precise under Mrs. Pace's gaze. The nursery's rhythm is relentless, but softer than the main palace. No dashing between bells, no dodging courtiers. Instead, it's endless small tasks. Wiping spills, soothing cries, fetching toys. Prince George, barely 4, tugs your apron, demanding his wooden knight. You kneel, offering it with a smile, and he giggles. A rare sound that cuts through the morning's wait. "You're nicer than Mary," he says, naming another maid. You hush him gently. Comparisons are dangerous here. Mrs. Pace overhears, her lips twitching. Mind the boy's chatter. He's sharp for his age. By 8 a.m., the children's breakfast is ready. Bread, milk, and a boiled egg for George. You taste each item, your stomach churning at the responsibility. All clear. As they eat, you clean the cradle, scrubbing stains with vinegar, the sharp scent mixing with lavender from the linens. The room's warm, a fire always burning to keep the children healthy. Mrs. Elliot shares a story. A maid once sneezed near a prince and was dismissed on the spot. "They fear contagion more than treason," she whispers. You resolve to breathe carefully. A bell rings, not the harsh servant call, but a softer chime from the Queen's apartments. Mrs. Pace sends you to fetch a shawl for the Queen's morning visit. You navigate the hidden passages, now familiar, and reach the Queen's dresser, Mrs. Silka. She hands you a silk shawl embroidered with gold thread and warns, "No creases. She's particular today." Back in the nursery, the Queen arrives, her presence commanding despite her plain morning gown. She inspects Augusta, then George, who shows her his puppet. "Well done," she says, her eyes flicking to you. Mehmet was right about her. Your heart skips, praise. But from the king's valet? Why? The morning blurs into noon. You're tasked with airing the children's clothes in the garden courtyard. A rare moment outdoors. The air is crisp, scented with rosemary and damp earth. Footmen pass, carrying crates for the Cherokee delegation's farewell feast. You overhear their chatter. The chiefs gifted the king a carved pipe, a gesture of peace. Back inside, Mrs. Pace assigns you to the royal dining room tonight. Extra hands needed. "You've earned it," she says. "Don't embarrass us." The dining room is a spectacle, its long table gleaming with silver candelabras and crystal. Your role? Stand in the shadows, ready to clear plates or refill wine. The Cherokee chiefs enter, their buckskin tunics stark against the courtiers' velvet. Tomochichi speaks through a translator, his voice steady, thanking the king for hospitality. You notice the boy from before, his eyes darting to the servant's door where you stand. He grins as if sharing a secret. You look away, heart pounding. Connection is risky. Dinner drags. Each course a marathon of silent service. Roast venison, pigeon pie, syllabub. You clear plates, avoiding eye contact with the Turks, Mehmet and Mustafa, who hover near the king. A courtier spills wine. You mop it instantly, earning a nod from Mr. Hamilton. By the final course, your feet ache, but pride swells. You've survived the night. As the guests depart, Mehmet pauses near you. "Quick feet, sharp eyes," he says softly. "The palace needs that." His tone is unreadable, and you wonder if it's a compliment or a warning. Back in the nursery, you collapse onto a stool, helping Mrs. Elliot fold blankets. She shares a tip. Save your halfpenny tips. Buy a ribbon, look presentable. It matters. You nod, though your wages, for a year, barely cover necessities. The nursery quiets as the children sleep, their soft breaths a contrast to the palace's churn. Mrs. Pace dismisses you at 11 p.m., but sleep feels distant. You climb to the attic, passing a footman who mutters about a French envoy arriving soon. More work? More eyes watching? In bed, the bell's echo lingers. You're no longer the nervous novice, but the palace is a maze of power and peril. Mehmet's words haunt you. Why notice a housemaid? Yet there's comfort in the routine, the warmth of the nursery, the children's trust. You're carving a place here, small but yours. The attic's chill wraps around you, but sleep comes, heavy and dreamless. Bells toll faintly from the palace clock, pulling you from sleep's edge. It's 5 a.m. again, but the nursery's chime is gentler than the harsh clangs below stairs. Your small chamber off the nursemaid's room feels like a sanctuary. Clean sheets, a basin for washing, even a peg for your apron. No more attic drafts or shared pallets. You rise, splash cold water on your face, and pin your cap straight. Today's bathing day for the prince, Mary warned, puddles and protests ahead. But there's a rhythm to it now, a purpose that steadies you. The night nursery glows softly from a low fire. Princess Augusta stirs in her cradle, her tiny fists waving. Mrs. Elliot is already there, nursing her with that calm efficiency you've come to admire. "Morning," she says, glancing up. "George will fight the bath today. Help Mary with the water." You nod, fetching the copper tub and heating kettles in the small nursery kitchen. The water must be tepid, tested with your elbow. Not too hot for royal skin. As you pour, Mary joins, yawning. "He splashed me last time, little tyrant." But her tone is fond. These children aren't just charges, they're the future, and caring for them binds you all. Prince George wakes with a babble, toddling over in his nightshirt. You're allowed to hold him now, after weeks of proving steady. He grabs your finger, his grip surprisingly strong. "Puppet?" he asks, eyes wide. You fetch the wooden knight, and he beams. Bath time turns chaotic. He splashes, giggling as water soaks your apron. But you keep calm, soaping his curls gently. Mrs. Pace supervises. No soap in eyes. Royals don't cry from servant slips. Dried and dressed in tiny breeches and waistcoat, he looks every inch a miniature king. Breakfast follows. Porridge for George. Milk for Augusta. You taste everything. Eggs, bread, even the honey drizzle. Poison plots linger in palace lore, like the attempt on a Stuart prince. All clear. As they eat, you air linens by the window, catching garden scents. Roses blooming early this spring. A knock. Dr. Arbuthnot, the physician, for a routine check. He's kind, unusual for his rank, examining the children with gentle hands. Robust, he pronounces. But more fresh air. Stale rooms breed ills. Mrs. Elliot agrees. We'll walk the private paths today. The garden excursion is a highlight. Bundled against the breeze, you carry Augusta, while Mary holds George's hand. The enclosed courtyard bursts with color. Tulips, hedges trimmed precise. George chases a butterfly, laughing freely, away from court eyes. You spot Mehmet at a window, watching. He checks often, Mrs. Elliot murmurs. King asks indirectly. Why the distance? Politics, grandchildren tie to the prince, and relations are strained. You nod, understanding more. Royalty's affection is laced with strategy. Back inside, nap time. As the children doze, Mrs. Elliot invites tea in her chamber. Mehmet joins, his presence now familiar. You've observed well, he says. The French envoy's wife lingered yesterday, asking about schedules. You recall her questions seemed casual, but probing. Political winds shift, Mrs. Elliot adds. We share such notes, protect the children, ourselves. This is the network. Not spying, but vigilance. You agree fully now, reporting patterns like a courtier's frequent visits coinciding with treaty talks. Afternoon brings the drawing master, a foppish Frenchman praising George's scribbles as genius. You taste his offered sweets, clear. As he leaves, Mrs. Pace whispers, he tutors others. Gossip flows. You note it for later. Supper, simple broth, tasted thrice. Bedtime stories, Mrs. Elliot reads fables, her voice lulling. Augusta clutches your finger as she drifts off. In your chamber, Mary visits. You're in deep now. Good, they reward loyalty. Weeks pass in this cocoon. Spring deepens. Cherokee return whispers grow. One night, Augusta's cry pierces the quiet, not teething, but hot fever. You rush in. Mrs. Elliot's face pales. Compresses, quick. Mary fetches the doctor. You bathe her forehead, heart racing. Royals die young too often. Dr. Arbuthnot arrives. Teething fever, likely. But he stays, dosing willow bark. You take shifts, watching her labored breaths. By dawn, it breaks. She cools, sleeps peacefully. Relief floods you. Well handled, Mrs. Elliot says. Mehmet arrives later. The king's informed discreetly. Your role saved worry. Sunday. Royal visit. Queen Caroline inspects, praising recovery. Mehmet chose wisely. You curtsy, humbled. King nods briefly. Post-visit, Mrs. Elliot. Commit fully? You do. The network's shield. Gatherings follow. Grooms. Maids share snippets. Spanish falter, one says. You add, ambassador's wife probed access. Patterns emerge, protecting all. Summer nears. Hampton Court move looms. Packing, toys, cradles, linens inventoried. You're Mrs. Elliot's aide now. Journey by carriage. George chatters at sights. Augusta sleeps. Hampton's red bricks gleam. New nursery setup. Gardens vast, maze intriguing. Cherokee arrive. Treaty signing. Children present, symbol of alliance. You stand shadowed, watching Tomochichi sign. Eagle feathers exchanged. Boy nods at you. Continuity. In Hampton's twilight, you reflect. From coal hauler to guardian. Power's not just crowns, it's care, whispers, alliances. Nursery's heart beats steady, your place secure. As clocks chime, empires turn on such quiet work. Sleep claims you, ready for tomorrow's bells.